Hello, welcome to my gear closet. We're getting the film box out. I'm excited about that. Are you excited about that? Because I have rolls of film from that Colorado trip to develop. So we're going to do that today. Yay. So we went to Colorado the other month, last month? October. So, yeah. It's November. You probably won't see this till December or January. Maybe November, I don't know. But we went to Colorado and I took Olivia, the Olympus. I shot a couple of rolls of film. I don't like waiting on other shops to develop it for me, and it's just as expensive or just as cheap to develop it yourself. I looked at Megan because she's the nerd and doesn't like things that are...
You think it makes me feel better when you say cheap instead of expensive?
Yeah.
Even though it's the same price.
So first things first, what do you need in order to develop your film? First thing that you need is film, exposed film. So the tank we have can do 2 rolls at a time. We happen to have only 2 rolls. So 2 rolls of film. You need a tank. This is the Patterson Light-Tight tank, and it's fantastic. All of the links to everything here, save a couple of things, are gonna be below. And when you get your stuff through that link, it helps me, it helps you. Doesn't cost you anything extra, it kicks a little money to me. It's great all around. So check those links out. You need chemicals, and these come in a box and you mix them, and we're gonna learn how to mix them and then do the film. You need a measuring cup, label it. Do not use for food. Do not use for food for film chemicals. That way nobody accidentally uses this for food, because then they'll get poisoned and die, and we don't want that. You need some funnels, keep them separate. So we've got blicks, stop, wash, and develop. Keep them separate because you don't want each of the chemicals we're gonna make interacting with each other. The next thing is a light-tight bag. You can also like light-proof a room and do it in there, but this is way easier, way faster. You want a film squeegee. They're fun, but they also make your negatives look better. You want a thermometer. You want a roll of practice film, and I always do this because I don't develop film quite enough. So I have an already ruined roll of film that I practice loading film with. And if you don't know what that means, I'll show you here shortly. You want some scissors. Any scissors will do. I found these on a playground, and I thought scissors don't belong on a playground, so now I have a pair of scissors. You want a can opener. I love the faces that she's making as I say some of these. Like, do you know what the can opener's for? You want a can opener? You want some dark glass bottles. Dark glass 1-liter bottles. This is like the most picky part of the whole everything. Dark glass 1-liter bottles. Say it with me. Dark glass 1-liter bottles. Not you. And you want some kind of a stock pot, and you need a lot of water. You need hot water, but not super hot water. So we've got some warm water in here already. We've got a tea kettle over there that we're gonna warm some water up with. But that's, did I go over everything? Oh, gloves. You want gloves, but not for what you think. Well, they're for your hands, but not to protect your hands. I don't care about protecting my hands, much to my wife's chagrin, but I do care about protecting the film. You need distilled water. So my lovely wife's gonna grab me a gallon of distilled water. You need a few gallons of it. You use it in multiple stages of this whole endeavor. Well, I don't need them all right now. We just need to show them distilled water. Okay, so your chemicals, because we're gonna put some of this away for now. The way that it comes to you, it's in a box, and they're all dry chemicals. When you get your chemicals, you're gonna get instructions. Save these. Like even if you have this video, save the instructions. But you're gonna have 4 bags. You're gonna have 1 bag called developer. You're gonna have 2 bags. One is Blix A and Blix B. And then you're gonna have a bag of stabilizer. And again, your instructions. Keep your instructions. Because nothing's worse than messing up a roll of film. Actually, you know what's worse than messing up a roll of film? Messing up 2 rolls of film at the same time. So, at the very top, it's going to have instructions for mixing the chemicals. And we can probably push this in, focus on it. All right, so you've got instructions for mixing chemicals. So we're going to start with the developer. So we're going to get our developer bag. It says place 800 milliliters of water at 110 degrees Fahrenheit. So the first thing we're going to do is we need to get water to 110 degrees Fahrenheit. So we're going to take our bottle marked D. So we're going to take it and we're going to measure it. We're going to measure it out to 800 milliliters. And what we're going to do is we've got a pot of hot water, and so we're going to put our, always use funnels because you will mess it up otherwise. We're going to put our water in the bottle and we're going to heat it up. What did it say again? We're going to heat it up to 110 degrees Fahrenheit. And I've found that the safest, most effective way to heat this water up is to stick it in one of these glass bottles and stick the glass bottle in there. And this is why we need a thermometer. And so the water needs to be a little warmer, so we're going to heat it up again because it's at, the water on the outside is at 110 degrees, but the water on the inside is not there. And so we're going to take some of that energy, put it into the water down in below in the. While we wait for that to warm up, we're going to go ahead and warm up the other bottles. So for the blicks, again, we need 800 millimeters. Ah, that hurt my ears. I hope it didn't hurt yours. We need 800 millimeters of distilled water. So we're going to fill it again. And just for the sake of good chemical handling habits, we're going to use the Blix funnel. So, Blix, Blix, pour it in. And the thing that you'll find about developing film is that it is neither as interesting nor as mysterious as it seems at the first. It's, you want to be exact with it, but it's not difficult, and it's not, you don't need a lot of special stuff either. Stabilizer, we need 1,000 milliliters of water in a clean container mixed thoroughly. So that's just room temperature water. Let's just do that first while we wait for these to heat up. So, and stabilizer is the least temperamental. Basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna get our stabilizer bottle, and I've labeled it, and it's hard to see, which is probably not ideal. There's an S for stabilizer. And what we're going to do is we're going to, because for those of you who weren't paying attention in high school, 1,000 milliliters is 1 liter. And if you'll recall, we have 4 dark glass 1-liter bottles. So we can go ahead and get our stabilizer, which is the same as stop. We're going to dump our powder in. Dump it in first so that the powder that sticks gets washed in. And we're just going to fill our 1-liter bottle with distilled water. There you go, all done. So we're still warming up our developer and Blix water, and we have finished mixing our stabilizer. Well, we want our stabilizer shaken, not stirred. It's a funny joke, like James Bond. You're not laughing. Megan's not laughing. It is what it is. So stabilizer is done. And stabilizer always stays at room temperature. So you don't have to worry about stabilizer is the best part. You don't have to worry about heating it. You just pour it in, shake it around, and pour it back out, and it's good. So I think, yep, stabilizer, room temperature, agitate for 15 seconds and let it sit for a minute. Easy. So we're going to set this to the side because it's done. And our mix that we're waiting on heating up is at 90 degrees. 20 more degrees to go. All right, we are nearly at our 110 mark. And so we are going to pour out the developer into the measuring cup. Make sure, or pour out the water for the developer into the cup, measuring cup, make sure it's still 800 milliliters, and then we're going to open our bag of developer. And we're just going to let it go a little further. Not much. Like 1 more degree. There we go. So we're pouring out the developer water, making sure we're still at that 800 milliliter mark. So we're going to open our developer, and it says place 800 milliliters of water at 110 degrees Fahrenheit into a clean glass or plastic container. While stirring, add the contents of the packet. We don't have a stirrer. What can I use for a stirrer? I use the...
Rick, have any like coffee stirrers or something?
No, I'm going to use the... I've used the thermometer before. All right, so we're going to start stirring and we're going to add. So stir and add. So stir well and add water to make 1,000 milliliters. Which, for those of you who paid attention in high school, is a liter. Pour it in up to a liter. Keep stirring. And now, our developer is done. So we're going to take our developer funnel and our developer bottle, developer, and our developer cap. We're going to go ahead and pour the developer into the bottle, the developer through the developer funnel into the developer bottle, and cap it off with the developer cap. All right, and then we're going to go and we're going to rinse our measuring cup and our stirrer and our thermometer and our funnel very thoroughly in a sink. So we'll be right back. All right, our Blix water is ready. So we're going to do the same thing as before. We're going to pour 800 milliliters in at first. Isn't this the most interesting part? 800 milliliters. Bam. What it says is you're going to pour in Blix A first, you know, since A comes before B. So we're going to start with Blix A. Open it up. Make sure it's ready to pour. And then we're going to start stirring and pour it in as we stir. Now, when you pour in the Blix B, it's going to create what's called an exothermic reaction, which means the water will get warmer and it will smell really bad, which I wouldn't be able to tell you, but my wife is sure going to complain soon.
That's not that bad.
Well, I haven't poured in the next one yet. So, Blix B is this like yellowy powder. So we're going to start stirring again, and we're going to pour in the Blix B. And it goes in yellow to white, but it's going to turn like this crazy red. And it's going to start steaming, which is interesting. So there we go. Blix B added to Blix A, added to water, and we're going to stir it really well. And you can see that it's fizzing and it's steaming. You want to basically keep stirring until that stops. And every now and again, reverse direction, just to be ornery. And then we're going to add enough water so that it's 1 full liter. And we can dump the rest in here. And we're going to take our Blix funnel, pour it in our Blix bottle, and cap it off with our Blix cap. Again, you don't want, especially your developer and your Blix, to be mixing. And you always want to use a funnel because you will spill, and these are not things that you want to spill. Watch your levels, make sure you don't overfill the bottle. And there you go. 1 bottle of nasty, nasty Blix. And again, we're going to go and rinse things out as thoroughly as we can. But as we do that, we're going to leave our Blix and our developer in the warm bath to get back up to our temperatures again, because next step is the best step, and that is developing the actual film. So let's do that. All right, so we are warming the chemicals all back up, and it's time to develop the film. You need 3 things to be warmed up to temperature. 1 is your Blix, the other is your developer, and the third is your wash, which is just distilled water. And so the wash is the coldest. We've got it in there now. And then once that's done, we'll add the bottle of Blix and the bottle of developer into the bath to keep them at the right temperature. But while that's happening, it's time to practice our reel loading. And the way that we're going to do that is we're going to take these. So this is your Patterson tank. It's got a couple of parts. It's got your reels. It's got 2 of them, and they're very interesting little jobbies. It's got your light tight part, which goes in right here. It's got your spindle that these go on, like that. It's got a little agitator, and you've got your watertight cap. So what you're going to do when you put everything in the dark bag or you go into the dark room, I like a dark bag because it takes up less room, pun intended, is you're going to take what you want to have in the bag is you want to have the reel and all the tank, everything. And you want to have scissors, and you want to have your can opener, obviously your reels of film, and you want to have gloves on. The bottom of your actual film has kind of this lip to it, and so if you've got to leave a tail, so like on this other roll, I remembered to leave a tail, so we don't need the can opener on that, but on this ISO 100 we do. You're going to take it and you're going to pop it off. You're going to push the spindle out. And then there's always that lead that helps you load it in the camera. You're going to take that and you're going to take your scissors and you're going to cut it off. Remember, no special scissors, just regular scissors. You're going to cut that lead off. So what you're going to do is you're going to try to keep it rolled up. And there's the lip here. It's best to hold it in your right hand if you're right-handed like I am. Make sure you've got it rolled nice and tight. Keep it in your right hand and feed it through. And then you're gonna, it's kind of auto winds for you, which is nice. You're gonna wind it all the way in. And even when I'm in like times of my life where I'm shooting film regularly, I always run my practice roll first. All right, and so then that has it rolled so that you can see it's in a spiral, and it keeps the film from touching the rest of the film, because if the film is touching itself at any point, that picture will not develop properly. What's going to happen is with the actual rolls of film, you're going to find that it's attached, and so you're going to hit a point where you can't do it anymore. You're going to take your scissors and you're going to cut it. You're going to do it with both rolls, and you're going to put them on the center part. You're going to drop it in the tank. This is all going to be in your light-proof bag. You're going to lock it down. You're going to put your waterproof lid on. And there it is, light tight, ready to go. And you can take it out of the bag. So, things you need in the bag are the lid, the watertight lid, the light tight lid, a spindle for each roll you're developing. You need both rolls of film, you need your can opener, you need your scissors, and you need your film. So we're going to load that all into the bag. So we're going to make sure these are together properly. One roll and 2 rolls. We've got our bag. It's got this cool double zipper system to make sure no light gets in. So we're going to put the stuff that we're going to touch the most at the very front, closest to you. So put those in first, and then we're going to put the tank and the lids and the spindle in the back. Here's our scissors. Here's our can opener. We're going to zip it. And then we're going to Velcro it shut. And maybe we'll leave the cameras rolling so you can watch me make funny faces. And here's the thing. So it's not light tight yet. It's once you put your hands in that it becomes light tight. So when you put your hands in and you open the film, you can't take your hands out. So don't Don't take your hands out because that'll ruin your film. Yeah, you want to cut that tail off as straight as you can without also cutting your fingers. So I'm starting with the easy one where I left the tail hanging out when I rewound the film. And this is what I mean by making funny faces. Only do this around people that you trust because they will make fun of you. So you're going to feel for those little horns that stick out. That's where it's going to grab your film. I was telling Megan while we were refilling the warm bath, if you're going to mess up a part, this is the part you're going to mess up. And so I highly advise you just take it easy, go slow. If you have gloves on, you don't have to be particularly delicate with the film. I mean, you don't want to tear it, but I've never done that. I've been doing photography 17 years. I've been developing my own film for a good chunk of that. Never actually torn the film. Anyways, it always takes a while. And this is what it looks like. And like I said, once your hands are in there, you've got some film pulled out, don't take your hands out again because that'll ruin it. All right, we are ready to pour chemicals onto our film. And so we're gonna get our tank out of the dark bag. We're just gonna leave everything else in there so we don't have to deal with it right now. There's our tank, light tight, ready to go. Get our tank out. And the first thing that we're gonna do is get our instructions back out. And we're going to start with a pre-soak of 1 minute with no agitation and just plain old dihydrous oxide, which is, you know what dihydrous oxide is? Water. So we're gonna, oh, we don't need gloves anymore. Gloves are the worst. I hate gloves. Dihydrous oxide, and it needs to be at about 102. So we've used our thermometer. We've determined that it's at 102, so we're going to take it and we're going to pour into our tank 1 liter of pre-soak. And normally I would just pour it back out into the sink because you don't need it again. But I'm just going to show you how nasty your film is by pouring it out into our... All right, so we're going to leave it there. We're going to get a stopwatch out, which I didn't tell you you needed at the beginning, but you have a phone or a watch. Everybody has a stopwatch these days. And we're going to let it sit for a minute. We're going to put our wash away, our pre-rinse, our pre-soak. And I always recommend to have your directions out. Did I mention you want to have your directions? It's so easy. I've been doing this for a long time, but it's so easy to get mixed up on what step and how long and how do you agitate and all of that, that just skip that and have your directions. Here we go. It's at 30 seconds. I'll fast forward this part. I know, it's fascinating. 1 minute. So we're gonna let it out. We're gonna pour everything out into, but it went in pure distilled water and now it's yellow, which is gross. So don't drink this. Next step is developer for 3.5 minutes. And for the first 10 seconds, we're gonna agitate it. And then after that, we're going to do it 4 times every 30 seconds. So here we go with the developer. Make sure developer And developer going in. You want to pour it as quickly as you can, but not so quickly that it sloshes around. All right. So now we're going to put the lid back on, watertight lid. And we're going to agitate for 10 seconds. So we're going to start our stopwatch. Start our stopwatch, and we're going to up and down for 10 seconds. You don't want to shake like crazy, but you also don't want to not move it either. All right. Now, there's chemical reactions going on, so we're going to, you know how you burp your Tupperware? You're going to burp your, just let out a little bit. And then at 40 seconds, we're going to do it again for 4 times. So it goes 40 seconds. We're going to 1, 2, 3, 4. 10 more seconds, and we're going to flip it over 4 more times. All right, here we go. That's 120. Burp it a bit, and then flip it over 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, 30 more seconds, so it'll be at 2 minutes. We'll do it 4 times again. Like I said, this is not a complicated process. It's not a mysterious process, but it is a process that you've got to learn and get used to. So here we go, 10 more seconds. Here we go. We're going to start a little early so that we can get our funnel ready. Remember, keep your funnels and your bottles all separate. So developer funnel in the developer bottle. And we're going to now pour all of our developer back out into the developer bottle. Don't spill it because it's nasty stuff. I always like to double check and make sure that the light tight lid is screwed on properly. There we go. We're going to put our watertight lid back on just for safety's sake. Done with the developer. Now it's time for the blicks, and we're going to check the temperature of the blicks because it's been sitting by itself for a while. Needs to be somewhere between 95 and 105. And so it's at 100 right now, a little more than 100. Perfect. So we're going to pour in the blicks. In the blicks, we do for 6.5 minutes. And we're going to do the mixing and inverting all the same as with the developer. Again, you're pouring as quick as you can without sloshing stuff around, because time is a component here. All right, so put our cap back on our blicks, put our cap on our watertight seal on the Patterson tank, and this is going to require a lot of burping. So we're going to go 10 seconds up and down. Like that, all over your everything. And we're going to sit for a while, 30 seconds. So at 40, love, if you can grab some paper towels, we can clean up our directions. And yeah, it was rather vigorous. I've never had it be so vigorous. All right, it's time. 4 more times. 1, 2, 3, 4, and burp. All right, so at 120, we're gonna do it again. Blix is the worst. Oh my gosh. I don't think any got in my coffee. That's good. All right, there we go. That's 6.5 minutes. Gonna get our Blix funnel for our Blix bottle and pour our Blix in the Blix funnel, through the Blix funnel into the Blix bottle. And little trade secret, I say these things whether I'm being recorded or not, because that way you keep things clear, what's going in where and why and for how long. Say it out loud. Because like I said, it's not difficult, it's not mysterious, but it is a process, and if you mess it up, you've messed up your photos, and I don't know of much that's worse than messing up photos. So, your film is now light safe, and it needs to be rinsed with running water. So we're going to go to the bathroom together, and we're going to rinse it in running water. Here we go. And we're going to rinse it in running water, warm running water, for 3 minutes. Keep going. Rinse the lid off too, that's always nice. And there we are at the 3-minute mark. So now we're going to go back into the studio, put in our stabilizer. Shall we? Alright, so stabilizer. For 1 minute at room temperature, agitate for 15 seconds, which is all fairly easy. Obviously, the cooler the room, the longer you want to let it go. So, like I said, about a minute. So, just take 15 seconds. Stabilizer or stop into our stabilizer bottle with our stabilizer lid, and we're going to pour the stabilizer through the stabilizer funnel into the stabilizer bottle and then cap it with our stabilizer lid. Now we're going to take the film out. We're going to put it above a door that doesn't get used very often so that people don't go messing with your negatives. I've always thought this part was magic. And I keep telling you, it's not a magical process or a difficult process, but it is a process. We're going to pull all our negatives out. Here's where we get to use our squeegee. I used to do it with just my fingers, and then I got fed up with how bad it turned out, and so I got a squeegee. And you just squeegee all the stuff off of the negatives and let it dry for as long as it takes to dry. All right, so next step is we're going to cut these up into chunks of 6 frames, and we're going to stick them in these, and it'll be 5 frames. Because my scanner does 6 frames, but this only does 5 frames, and we don't want them sticking out too far. So it'll be 5 frames each, and we'll put them into the page and take them home and scan them, which will be fun. And when you put them in, you want to make sure they're dry. They're done drying, because they're harder to put in if they're not done drying. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so we are at the house now because that's where my scanner is, and we are going to go ahead and scan the negatives that we just processed. This is the Epson V550. Can you see it? V550 photo scanner. It'll do 6400 DPI of native resolution, which means my 35 millimeter negatives turn into 50 megapixel images, which is not too shabby. I've already done a couple, and you can see them here on the screen. We're going to start with one more row, and I'm just going to do one row, or 2 rows rather, because you don't want to watch me do all of them. It takes a while. So I have it to where I can read the Kodak. It's right side up, and numbers going left to right, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it over and stick it on the flatbed here. And you can't just use any scanner. You can't just use a regular flatbed scanner. It's got to have this right here, and I like to clean it because you don't want to deal with the hair and the dust. So I clean it after every go. But you need this here that'll give a backlight to the negative in order to scan the negative. But go ahead and stick. And sometimes these are difficult to get out, and they're difficult to put in. I usually like to just grab the tip of my knife and pull it out that way. Flip it over, make sure it's going on right, or else everything will be upside down and backwards. And that's easy to fix digitally, but it's easier to not have to fix also. So then we're going to put this down. This is going to hold it all flat. Because the link to the scanner is down below. I don't want to get into arguments about roll versus flatbed versus using your DSLR. I've tried it all. This is what I like the best. So we're going to come here and we're going to hit preview, and it's going to do a low resolution scan of all the photos. It's going to use the thumbnails. And then life is much easier if you come in here and tell it the orientation of each photo. Been really impressed with the job that Epson does of cutting up each frame from the negatives and then giving it to you. So we do 10 frames at a time. Like I said, each of these are about 48 megapixels once they're scanned in at 6400 DPI. The software will let you go higher, but the native, I mean, it's just doing interpolation. The native scan is 6400, so that's what I stick with. I don't use any of these extra options, and I scan it as a TIFF, which is about as close to raw as you can get with this, and it's going to this particular folder, and I just hit OK. And then it's going to take its sweet time. Usually it takes about 20 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes to go through 10. So while that's starting to scan, I'll be happy to, yeah. So the estimated is 20 minutes. So here's an aspen tree that I took a picture of. So the colors are great. You still get a little bit of, I mean, you're never going to avoid all the dust in the world. So we'll just, I typically will just, if I'm going to go make a print of this, I'm going to go clone stamp this out, either in Lightroom or in Photoshop. But it's a fairly high resolution. I mean, it's to where you can see where a grain in the film is bigger than a pixel. So pretty good resolution, pretty good result there. Once these are all scanned, we'll go ahead and import them into Lightroom and deal with them there. I should also warn you the file sizes get a little large, so each one is about 130 to 140 megabytes. So if you're looking at a 36 roll, so it's already over, 1.3 gigs. Thanks for watching. Thanks for caring about what I do with photos and art and all that. I would love to connect with you offline. Links to everything I've used for processing film, links to everything you could ever want are in the description below. Hit the subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications. Thank you again for watching. God bless you, and we'll see you next time. Bye.